In the meantime, while we do this, is maybe if you had used CBD before, let us know either in the chat, or if you want to share your experiences with that at some point through our conversation, that would be great. So thanks all for joining. My name's Deb. I'm the founder of Find Calm here. We have weekly events where we take you through conversations around strategies in finding calm in everyday life. Sometimes that means it's a product, and sometimes that means we help you by bringing experts that are specialized in meditation or mindfulness or energy or lots of different products or services. And today we have Heidi, and she is going to be talking to us about CBD. So Heidi, tell us a little bit about yourself and what your experience has been with CBD, and we'll start there, I think.
Hi, thank you so much, Deb. I'm really excited for your community, your Find Calm Here community. That is like everything that I am about. So when you were telling me about your idea and starting to implement it, I love it. So thank you for doing that. So I am in Montana, central Montana. I'm the owner of 406 CBD. I'm also the owner of Wild Velvet Wellness, which I started about 7 years ago, give or take. And I really have always been passionate about natural wellness, and but kind of got serious about it 7 or more years ago. And that's when I did a lot of education, a lot of learning and certifications, and I became an aromatherapist and an herbalist and a Reiki master, and that's when I was like, I'm so excited about all of this. I have to start a business. I have to share this with people. And so I was doing one-on-one sessions with people for a few years there, and I around 2014, hemp became federally legal for the first time, partially for research, and with that farm bill. And I started researching it and learning about hemp and learning about CBD. I had never even heard of it before. And all these old herbalism books and textbooks and stuff, like, they don't even mention it. And then you start digging into the centuries old history of hemp and cannabis and some of the medicinal properties of it. I was fascinated. So I started educating myself around that. And I realized that very quickly that almost all of my clients that I was seeing would benefit in some respect with CBD. And since it was federally legal, I was like, this is awesome. I need to find a CBD product line that I can offer to my clients. And so I did. And I found one where I really liked the ingredients list, and I was super excited about it. And a little over a year into offering that product to my clients, the company itself was doing some unethical things, some not very professional things. And I was just horrified and devastated, because I was offering this to my friends and family, my clients. So I was really upset with not only the company, but with myself. And I realized at that point that, I could do this. I could create a CBD line, and I could do it better. And of course, I was super excited about the idea of formulating my own products and all of that. And that was born 406 CBD. And here we are today. 406 has been in we're almost at 2 years, I think.
Very cool. Sounds so amazing. Like, you've had a really diverse journey of discovery and really into self-care, which is a lot of what we talk about with Find Calm, is different ways and modalities around getting to calm. So I love that. Did anybody have any thoughts around, have you tried CBD? Has anybody experienced with it? Or has anybody, had any oh, this is something I maybe should try? Did anybody have any thoughts around that at this point? And it's okay if you don't. I just want to want to test and see if you guys have anything, then just like raise your hand and shout out in the chat if you do. Heidi, where do we want to start as far as going through a little bit of how, maybe we talked a little bit about how to figure out how to find the best oils. Is that where we could start?
Well, why don't we start with what CBD is? Because I feel like there's a lot of misinformation out there. It's become a really popular thing. Like you said, in Pennsylvania now, every gas station and different store has like a big sign that says CBD sold here now. And there's also some stigma and some taboo around it. And so I would like to just clear all that up right off the bat, if that's cool. Okay, so CBD is an acronym for cannabidiol, and that is one of over 100 different cannabinoids that are found in the cannabis plants, hence the name cannabinoid. But the interesting thing is that cannabinoids are also found in other leafy greens, cruciferous greens like kale and cabbage and broccoli. They're found in CBD can be derived from hops, which is more commonly known for making beer. It's found in cannabinoids are found in chocolate, coffee, a lot of different plants. So, but they're found in the highest concentrations in cannabis plants. And so a lot of people associate CBD with marijuana, and marijuana is still federally illegal. And some states have made it legal, as I'm sure you guys all know, and it's like an ever-changing kind of legality situation all over the country. So that part is a little confusing, but what's not confusing is that hemp is federally legal. And so the legal definition of hemp, which is a cannabis plant, you know, like any plant, there's many strains, many different varietals. So hemp is legally defined as a cannabis plant that has 0.3% THC or less. And so like most marijuana plants are bred for high THC levels. THC is the cannabinoid that we associate with getting high. And THC is what is tested for in like a drug test. And so marijuana plants have high THC, and most of them have very low CBD because they're bred for high THC. And then hemp is grown for either its CBD content, which there are varietals specifically for that, or hemp is grown for fiber like rope or fabrics, or the seeds, like we all have probably seen hemp seeds, hemp oil for sale at, you know, Walmart and Costco and all those places. So that is from the hemp plant, and that is federally legal to grow and has been for a few years now. They just renewed it in the last year's Farm Bill again and loosened some of the initial restrictions on hemp. So our CBD is derived from hemp, and the CBD that you will find in like gas stations or salons will be hemp-derived CBD. So it doesn't have the legal issues that marijuana does. And the only way to really delineate hemp and marijuana is through testing and cannabinoid testing, and proving that there is very little, if any, THC in the plant and in the finished product. So that kind of segues into like how CBD works. And so CBD, or cannabidiol, the reason that's such a big buzz is because it has been found with our research so far to be one of the most medically beneficial cannabinoids. Of course, with any plant, anyone who's into herbalism kind of knows this, that there are tons of like phytonutrients and different compounds and terpenes and other words I can't say. And so there's a lot of other stuff going on within hemp itself other than CBD, but CBD has been the most studied. It's shown the most impressive results in scientific studies. And so that's why but that's why it's so popular right now. But also, like, we're starting to see articles on CBG and CBN, and those are other cannabinoids that they're like, hey, wow, this one's really good for this, and this one's really good for that. So it's really fun to watch that emerging science come out now that it is legal to actually study it. That was one of the problems with it being federally illegal before, was they couldn't do scientific studies on it legally. So seeing that science come out is super exciting. And so CBD particularly, but all cannabinoids actually interact in the human body through our endocannabinoid system. We actually have an endocannabinoid system. And basically, it's these little receptors that use the different cannabinoids, CBD being a main one, and they're found all over your body. They're found in your organs, your brain, on your skin, and that's what we really attribute the effects, the healing effects that people find with CBD is due to those receptors and their ability to take up those molecules.
We're listening. We got you. At least I'm following with you.
Really interesting.
I did want to point out that I do have an FAQ from your website, Heidi. I put that in the chat, so you can, anybody who is listening can follow along if you click on that link, because it literally goes through what Heidi's talking about. But Lauren, go for it.
Now that I've finished my peanut butter drink and I can talk. Okay, so I have had CBD before, and from two different places. One was something I ordered online because I saw it from like Goop or something like that. It was like chocolates that had it in it, and they were terrible. Like so bad. Like it wasn't worth, if there was any benefit, it wasn't worth it. Then Daily Harvest for a while. Have you heard of them? They do the pre-mixed blended drinks. They had a drink for a while. It had CBD in it. It was wonderful. And it was delightful. It was almost like a glass of wine. Like it was super, just kind of almost indistinguishably chill. And I loved it. And they quit making it. Like, I don't know why. I don't know if they couldn't get it anymore. So I tend to look at the stuff in the gas station and be like, is this crap or is this coconut oil? Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't feel, I live in Louisiana. We have all kinds of sketchy stuff at our gas stations. You know what I mean? Like, I just I wouldn't buy my CBD oil there. But I think it's so cool that you grow it or process it yourself, or how that all works. I'm fascinated by that. And I think this is super cool.
I'll explain. I actually don't grow it or process it, but yeah, I'll go through our process and how we procure our products. And but first, I hear that all the time, that either they tried CBD and it tasted terrible, or they tried CBD and it didn't work, or unfortunately, a lot of people are like, well, I don't even know where I got it. My sister gave it to me, or I ordered it online. I don't remember the name of it, that kind of thing. And so I can't specifically speak for other companies or products, but I do have a few questions that you can use yourself to vet any product, and you will, be able to find out fairly quickly if it's a high quality product or not. I love the idea of CBD smoothies. I put CBD in my smoothie once in a while. I tend to just take it under the tongue, but it's really fun. We have some fun recipes. We've done like CBD frosting on cupcakes and barbecue sauce and just like silly things just for fun. But so what I tell people to ask whenever they're looking at a CBD or they're like considering purchasing a product is real quickly with the company, ask, and you might have to message them online or whatever, but ask them where the hemp's origin is. Where is it grown? And this might not seem important, but it really is. And I'm seeing a lot more CBD products that are USA grown now, and that's wonderful and perfect. But before, when there was still, like, depending on the state, there are still like a lot of red tape, a lot of hoops to jump through. A lot of companies were procuring their hemp from Canada, which is usually great. Denmark or Sweden, awesome. They have really high quality farming practices generally. But also there was a lot of hemp being shipped to the States from China. And nothing against China. I'm sure like this shirt is probably made in China. I don't know. But there are certain, like Russia, there are different countries that are using hemp, which is an amazing plant, to clean up industrial waste. They're using it in Japan to clean up radioactive contaminated soil. And that's because hemp is a bioaccumulator. It actually cleans the soil that it grows in, which is so cool. But you don't want to, then be ingesting that hemp, obviously. So just knowing that, and it helps a lot just to know where the hemp is coming from. And then there were a lot of, legalities around being able to certify hemp organic. And so there were companies in the States that were growing hemp and just using a ton of fertilizer, a ton of whatever they wanted to use to get like a really fast, big growth. And also, the organic thing is a personal preference. For me, I choose, organic over most things. But with hemp especially being such a strong bioaccumulator, like all plants kind of are on a different level, but hemp is like amazing about it. So making sure that it's grown organically. A lot of states now can get certified, USDA certified, or certification for their hemp farms. So that's really nice. But finding out where it's grown, if it's organic or not. And then the second thing is to ask for a certificate of analysis, or a COA. Any company worth its salt will have these at the ready. If they're not already on their website, they should be able to just like email it to you or whatever. Whatever their most recent one is, and they should have one for each product as well, not just for their like bulk CBD ingredient. And so what that is going to tell you is going to tell you, first of all, how much CBD is actually in it, which is a huge thing for, unfortunately, there's been a bunch of companies that have gotten busted selling CBD oil, like a little tiny bottle for $90, and all it is hemp seed oil, and there's 0 CBD in it. And so what you want is basically them to prove that the CBD content is what they say it is, that the other cannabinoid profiling is what they say it is. So that way, especially if you have certain professions or jobs or allergies, if there's any THC in it, because legally there can be 0.3%. A lot of people, if they are truck drivers or work at a hospital or in the military or police or, so many different professions get drug tested, they can't have any THC. And so, but, other people might just be like a personal preference or whatever. So knowing exactly how much THC is in there. I've also heard horror stories of people buying CBD and taking it and getting high. And if there's like 0.3% or less in there, there's no way you would feel any kind of psychoactive effects. And so having that kind of like proof in front of you is really great. But another thing that the testing will prove is that it's clean of any contaminants like heavy metals, microbials, molds, pesticides, all of that should be tested for. And that is stuff that occurs in our environment naturally, even if it's organically grown. And so this actually goes for any supplement that you're taking. Most of them, any reputable company will have testing on their products for heavy metals, especially because it is in our water, it's in our soil, it's in our air. So, if you're taking something for your health, the last thing you want is like mercury or, bad things in it that are gonna, be a detriment to your health. And then the third thing I tell people to ask is how it's processed and how bioavailable it is. So you can get CBD products, and this is probably the case with your chocolates, Lauren, and that you can like take the hemp and you mash it up and you run it through, you know, this machine, and it comes out like a thick, dark sludge. And that might have a really high CBD content, and it's going to have a lot of great, you know, phytonutrients, but it's going to taste and smell super bad. Yeah, right. Yes, so bad. So like I've had a lot of people tell me, they're like, oh, I can't take the taste or the smell of CBD. And so that, like, if I had a hemp farm here, I would just be like juicing raw hemp and doing shots, like a wheatgrass shot. That would be awesome for your health, but it would taste super nasty. So you go from that, and then you can distill it multiple times, and then they call that a distillate. And a lot of times that will be a broad spectrum or a full spectrum, which means multiple cannabinoids. Full spectrum usually refers to having that legal amount of THC. And a full spectrum has its benefits in that you're getting those other cannabinoids, which, you know, if you believe that, you know, in intelligent design, that maybe these plants were built this way to work together, you know, and to be taken as more of like a whole product. And you're getting the full spectrum and the broad spectrum, you're getting the benefits of the different cannabinoids that are in there. And then you can process it even further and create an isolate. Now, an isolate is going to be just CBD or just CBG or whatever they say it is. And it will have no other cannabinoids in it. It doesn't have a taste. It doesn't have a color. So like our tinctures are an isolate and an MCT oil. The tincture tastes like MCT oil. Like it's just really bland, the natural one. We do add, like our peppermint one, we use a little bit of peppermint essential oil in that for the flavor. So what I've come across in CBD products is the ones that are going to be really bitter and bad tasting are cheaper to manufacture. And often, which I mean is one thing, like I don't mind bitter and bad tasting if I think it's good for me. But one thing that I see a lot in these products is they're adding artificial flavors, sweeteners, artificial sweeteners, even colors. And like I had one that was like strawberry flavor, and it tasted awful because they're just trying to mask like the hemp flavor, which is still there, and then adding the artificial flavor on top of it. And I was just like, oh, this is really, really bad. But and then you know, that's a huge red flag for me. And there are so many large CBD companies that are creating products that have these kinds of ingredients in them, and they're billing themselves as a health company. And one thing I know for sure is that if they're putting red 40 and aspartame in these products, they don't care about my health. You know what I mean? They're out there to make money, and that's it. Nothing wrong with making money, but to do it with integrity is not necessarily the norm these days, unfortunately. But that's why I'm so passionate about education and learning about these things, because you can quickly and easily discern, you know, the difference between a quality product and a low quality CBD product or hemp product. Awesome. Okay, so
I really like that. That was super helpful for me to learn a little bit more about the differences. And I like the idea of asking questions because that really means that you're really intentional about, we talked about intentional purposes or purchases when we were talking about our Find Calm with Intention a few weeks ago. And that really, if you're asking all these questions, then you're being informed, and then you're really making an educated decision about things that you're putting into your body. So it just really goes all back to that mindfulness of being aware and really trying to engage with the products that you are investing your hard-earned money in. So
Right, exactly. And you know, I'm shocked lately, even like the websites where I will message on the website, like not CBD related, like one was a law firm, one was a skincare line, and like they don't get back to you. And I don't, you know, I understand like technology can be tricky, but like what are they even doing? Like are they even, is there even a person behind this company? Is this something that was just created and plopped onto the internet to like take your money? You know, I don't. So like there are many red flags. And so, and I have like a handful of them that I just look at in general. So like when I'm at Natural Grocers and I'm thinking, you know, I'm just gonna grab some fun stuff, you know, what would be a good like new turmeric supplement to try? And I can tell right away, and it's not just the price, but if they're in a glass container and the supplements are generally going to be of higher quality, and you can usually tell pretty quickly by looking at the label. They'll be like, you know, it's all certified organic, it's like super high strength. You know, they'll have a QR code on the label that you can scan with your phone and see all the details. You can tell how clearly worded their labels are and their ingredients lists are. You know, if they're just like, hey, this is what it is, and they have like a flashy logo, but then they don't even share like the details of the product or what their other ingredients are, or their, you know, they'll list things as vaguely, you know, using words like fragrance or spices. Like with people with allergies and food sensitivities, I look at a label like that and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna do that one because I don't know what spices is. You know, usually it's code for like MSG or something. but there are other things. So like quality, like eco-conscious packaging. If a company doesn't test on animals, they're proud of that and they put that on their website and on their packaging. So if you don't see anything about that, you know, maybe, do they test on animals? What are some of the other things? Yeah, just transparency in general, you know, like, are they offering you a lot of educational material on their labels, on their packaging, on their website, or are they just like, you know, gimmicky? To me, that's kind of a red flag too.
Cool.
Oh, and Amazon. Hopefully this changes, but right now, Amazon does not sell CBD products. But if you go on Amazon and Google and search CBD, you'll get like a ton of products. And so what they're allowed to sell on, and I know this because I looked into this for my own business, because I was like, we should get our stuff on Amazon, right? I love Amazon. I use it all the time. And basically, if you label vaguely and say it's hemp extract, and you don't put CBD anywhere on there, or sometimes the labels will have like a picture that says CBD, but then if you look, it's like super vague about whether there's any CBD in there or not. Anyway, Amazon won't let you sell a product on there if you prove that there's CBD in it. And so I feel like a lot of people are probably getting taken on Amazon, ordering things that are suggesting that there's CBD. You know, they'll say things like, you know, 2,000 milligrams, or milligrams of what, you know, and some of them will even say CBD, but Amazon has a very strict rule against CBD products right now. And I'm hoping that they'll change that, but I just tell people not to buy their CBD on Amazon. Gas stations, you know, I don't know. That might be a good product. It might not. I'm not going to write off gas stations, but you can probably be pretty sure if it's really cheap, then it probably isn't, just because I know, you know, the bulk cost of CBD and hemp products right now are not low. So, and that brings me to how we make our products. And so what we do is we partner with Montana hemp farmers and processors. And we are still getting some of our isolate and a few of our products right now from Colorado, but our goal is to be 100% Montana Montana is just the CBD or the hemp farming is very new. But last year we were already the largest producer of hemp in the nation. I don't know if we'll be that this year or not. There's so many hurdles for our hemp farmers, and Montana isn't actually known for its like best like farming soil and environment. Like this year we had fairly decent drought, and we had a huge grasshopper problem this year. So, but I guess, you know, there's still, I was assured that we have plenty of hemp and CBD for the next year. But, you know, with natural products, it's always different every year because it's a natural product and the weather differs and the farm ground differs and all of that. So our products are manufactured in a GMP facility. GMP is certified, which is USDA's Good Manufacturing Practices certification program. Another thing I see with a lot of CBD products is people are making them in their homes, which is fine, totally fine. But, you know, the jokes about like finding a hair or things like that, like if I'm paying money for a product, I want it to be made in a lab in a commercial setting, not in, you know, Susie Q's kitchen necessarily.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. I'm on your website and I'm like mesmerized by all this lab tests and stuff you have on here. I'm just like, wow, there's like so much stuff that you could like deep dive. So if you guys really want to deep dive into CBD, like Heidi's got tons on our website. I'm like already in there.
I would just like to say that lab tests are not cheap. And so having separate lab tests for the end products for every manufacturing batch is something that a lot of companies are willing to skimp on because they're like, well, let's, you know, save some money up front here. And that to me, it's like a badge of honor. And I'm like, we have to do it. We have to do it for every single batch, even if it's a small batch. Because the last thing I would ever want is for a customer or us to be surprised by the content of our products.
Yeah, I love it. Super cool. So much helpful information, for sure.
Thank you. So a lot of people ask, one of our like really common questions is how to take CBD or, you know, how much to take. And so so I mentioned earlier that we all have an endocannabinoid system. And the state of your endocannabinoid system really varies from person to person. It varies on your, you know, your genetics, your environment, your diet mostly, you know, how much leafy greens are you eating? And so what the general rule of thumb is, I tell people to start low and go slow. And I tell people to keep track, use a journal or a piece of paper or notebook or whatever every day. Like if you took your CBD, how much you took and how you're feeling that day. Because if you're anything like me, like I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, you know, you start to feel better and a couple of weeks down the road, you're going to be like, I don't, you know, I've heard a lot of people say, well, I didn't think I was really doing anything, so I quit. And then I went right back and I realized how miserable I was before. And I'm like, yes. So like even do like a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling today? I'm a 5. You know, it can take like 2 seconds. It doesn't have to be this arduous, like journaling about your feelings or whatever. I love journaling, but I know I get a lot of slack from my husband, and my kids are like, oh no, we don't want to. But keeping track, and then that way if you start low and you gradually increase your dose every week or so until you reach that you know, your desired outcome, that way you're not taking more than you need, because a good CBD supplement is not inexpensive, and you're not wasting product, you're not taking more than you need. Another thing that I always tell people is that, you know, I'm not a doctor or a pharmacist. And honestly, most people are on some sort of pharmacological medication. And so I always say to check with your doctor. Oftentimes your pharmacist might actually be more knowledgeable about possible interactions with herbal supplements. So check with them and just make sure that there's nothing that might interact or something like that, or that you might have a, you know, a specific condition that they're like, no, you don't want to do this. I haven't come across that too much, but I always tell people to do that because I am not the person to tell you otherwise.
And you don't always know how things are going to interact, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what also why I like the start low and go slow suggestion, because everyone is so different. Like some people, a very little bit, you know, does amazing things. Other people really need large amounts, and it's not according to body weight. It's not according to gender. It really is all over the place, is what we've found. Even with pets, you know, they have more specific things. Like if your dog is this big, you know, you can give them this much, which, you know, is nice to have a guideline. But honestly, even with dogs, just start with a really small amount, because, and then even after, so say you've reached your, like your anxiety is so much better, say, and you're taking your CBD every day and you're being really consistent, which is for optimal effects. You want to be really consistent. And then you know, you're going along for a few months, maybe see if you can back off just a little bit. And then you won't have to be taking as much. And once your system, your endocannabinoid system kind of gets loaded, you know, then maybe you can maintain on a lower amount. So I'm kind of always playing around with dosages, like in my family with myself and that kind of thing. But then of course there's super fun like CBD topical products, and you know, different edibles and things like Lauren mentioned, or chocolate. That's so fun. We have a CBD gummy worm that's also vitamin C. And so that's a fun way an easy way to take it. You know, there's everything out there like CBD lube, and I love the CBD bath bombs. There's the salves. A lot of people will ask, you know, how to be successful with it, because they're like, well, I can't remember to take it, or, oh, you know, it was this or that. And so I like to make like an event or a ritual around it. Like when I get into bed, I put CBD salve on my hands, and it's like a nightly treat for me because my skin is like so dry. We have really hard water and dry air out here in Montana. And so like in the morning, I have our drops next to the coffee. So I might put it in my coffee. I might just put it under my tongue. I might put it in my smoothie, but it's like right there where I see it. And it, you know, it's just part of my routine. Like once it's part of your routine, like you don't forget your coffee usually, you know, because it's like your day, you know. So once you like create routine, create ritual around it, it makes it a lot easier. And consistency is really important, especially for chronic pain conditions. That is one where I found like people can take a little bit of CBD for like anxiety or depression, and they seem to notice it right away. It really helps sleep right away. But with like older, more chronic pain conditions, to get to that really like ingrained inflammation around, you know, the old injuries or whatever they may be, that can take longer, and consistency is so important, like taking it every day so it can build up in your system and do its job.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the differences. Maybe you can give us some use cases for the salves that you have, and maybe comparing to that I see deep relief cream on your website, so I wasn't sure if there was primary use cases that differentiate why you would have one or the other.
Right, so mainly I formulated the deep relief cream. It is like a light cream that evaporates and soaks in really quickly. So people who don't want something that has like a heavier, greasier feel, they really like the cream. The cream is so light. Actually, I formulated the essential oils in there for pain, but also for skin health. And so there's like turmeric essential oil in there. And so I actually use that as a face cream. You know, the oil content is really light, and the CBD being an isolate in there and nanoed, it makes my skin feel amazing, and it's not too heavy. The salve, like the Sage Advice salve, we formulated that to be like hormone balancing and soothing, and especially for like women's issues like cramps and that time of the month, that kind of thing. So it has clary sage in it. Yeah. Like every woman, right? So it has clary sage in it, and then it has culinary sage oil in it. And I have an affinity for sage. We live in central Montana. It grows everywhere. And so I just felt like it was a nice a nice product and a nice like homage to Montana. But also, so then the Bear Balm has another blend of essential oils in that is more targeted to pain and like deeper pain issues. And so it's really, you know, some people, I feel like everyone I talk to has a preference, but you really have to like kind of try them out and see what works for you and that kind of thing.
Just if you use it in like a topical cream, is it absorbed into your system as well as it is if it's ingested?
Yes. Oddly, it wouldn't seem like it. Like we're kind of taught that our skin is a barrier, and like here's the outside world, and then there's our skin, and then there's our inside of our body, right? Well, our skin is actually super absorptive, super porous, and with our products, they're nano emulsified. So the CBD molecules are actually made smaller so that they can be more efficiently used up by those endocannabinoid receptors, which you have on your skin. So like when you use a topical, those receptors right on your skin, just like take that up right away. People with eczema, psoriasis, things like that have found really good results with CBD products because of that. But then also because they're nanoed, they do penetrate, and that's like the best example I have for that is menstrual cramps. As you know, you wouldn't think that a topical would really do that much, but it does. It really helps. And so, I mean, somehow it's getting in there all the way to my uterus and telling it to stop screaming, settle down, like it's okay. But for like all over inflammation issues, so like when people have all over, like maybe fibro or, you know, maybe arthritis or things like that, I usually recommend that they take the drops or the capsules internally, and then also use a topical to spot treat. The nice thing about the topicals is they generally work faster, and then you're coming at it from both sides. So you're coming at it from the inside out and the outside in, and really like it's a 1-2 punch for the inflammation.
So do you think that creams and things are better for physical, and maybe the ingested stuff's better for like generalized anxiety, or is there a difference there? Or?
I would say that the ingestibles are definitely better for like anxiety, depression, that kind of thing. But the ingestibles and the creams are just as good for pain, depending on the, you know, what it is. But definitely for like the mood disorders and stuff, the ingestibles are the way to go. And
on the drops and stuff, how many, looking at your drop specifically, how many servings is that, or whatever?
So like with the start low and go slow thing, it really varies per person. Our serving is 1 dropper full, so there's 30 servings in a bottle. And then one of the things that really tends to confuse people is it'll say like 500 milligrams on the bottle. The 500 milligrams is the concentration in that bottle. And so we have little charts to help you figure it out, but you can like, you know exactly how much you're getting per drop, per a third of a dropper. I oftentimes tell people to start with a third of a dropper, which is like 10 drops, just to start, you know, slow and go low like that. And so like the 250 milligram bottle, that concentration is 50% less, right? So a lot of people will come to me and they'll say, well, I'm taking 1,000 milligram a day. And I'll say, you're probably not. Can I see your bottle that you're using? It probably says 1,000 milligrams on there, meaning there's 1,000 milligrams in the whole bottle. And then from there, you can kind of do the math and figure out like how much you're getting per dropper and per drop.
Yeah. So there's like capsules and there's drops and creams. Do the capsules just have the same thing as the drops in them? They're just already in little like gel caps, or?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So our capsules are 25 milligrams of CBD per capsule. They're a broad spectrum capsules, so they might have a little bit of like CBG, some different cannabinoids in there, because they're made with a distillate and not an isolate. And so our drops are made with an isolate. And really it comes down to personal preference. People, some people don't want to mess with drops, or deal with, like, maybe elderly people might not have the dexterity to deal with all of that. The capsules are super handy for travel. You don't have to worry about spilling it, that kind of thing. But I really like the drops for using them sublingually. You put them under your tongue, hold it for like 10 to 30 seconds, whatever, and then swallow. And so that is getting into your system, your blood, into your blood way quicker through those glands under your tongue. And then what you swallow just goes through your digestive system and is absorbed that way, which is great. But you're getting a quicker effect than just solely using the digestive system. And so if someone says to me that they have anxiety, I will definitely point them towards the drops as opposed to the capsules.
Yeah. This is fascinating. I'm so stoked about your website and all of this, because I've wanted to do this, but I just didn't want to buy it from just anywhere. You know what I mean? Because you feel like something that's not regulated, that you're like, I don't even know if I'm getting CBD oil. Like,
yeah, and you literally don't with some companies. But I mean, there are a lot of great companies out there, not just mine. And, like I explained before, it's fairly easy to know right away if you're dealing with a reputable company and product line.
well, you did good.
Thank you. So, that being said, I'd like to let you guys know, like, maybe some reasons that you should not take CBD. And, this might sound weird coming from a person that owns a CBD company, but there are reasons that you shouldn't take it. So like the first one and I mentioned before, was if your doctor or pharmacist says, this is contraindicated with your medication, or we're worried about how it might affect this disease that you have, or an issue that you have. So if it's not okayed by your doctor, then definitely don't do it. And I have a lot of people say, well, my doctor will just scoff and he won't okay it anyway because he's, not into, alternative therapies or herbalism or whatever. And to those people, I usually say, find a new doctor. Find a doctor that's a little bit open-minded. I mean, that is willing to listen to you and, look at you from a more holistic approach. There's lots of allopaths that will do that. I go to a naturopath, but I also will go to, our family's general practitioner for, regular stuff. But if I feel dismissed or laughed at by my doctor, guess what? There's other doctors out there. I'll find someone else. And then, so like another reason you maybe should not take a CBD supplement is if you have a specific allergy. Now, I haven't come across very many people who have an allergy to hemp, but it's definitely possible, or to CBD specifically. I have found people who are allergic to THC. So if there's like even the tiniest amount of THC in it, they can't take it. I've also had customers who are allergic to coconut oil. And so like ours is in a base of MCT oil, which is derived from coconut oil. So if there's any kind of allergy, like, you don't mess with allergies. You don't want to go there with that. Another one is if they seem to be low quality, like we talked about, if any of those red flags pop up, Like they can't give you a COA, or you look at their COA and they're like, well, all these solvents are in it, but it's below the allowable level. You know, if that's okay with you, then fine. I would be like, but I'd rather just not have any solvents, you know? And so that comes down to how it's processed. So that would be, you know, anything that, you know, you get an intuitive hit, or you're just like, that's kind of a red flag. Just don't do it. I mean, there's so many CBD companies out there now. You have your pick of thousands, so why settle? And then another reason that maybe not to take CBD is if it's derived from marijuana. So there can be like a CBD, THC tinctures and things out there that are derived from marijuana. So depending on where you live and the legalities and whether you want THC or not, you know, that is all something to like take into perspective. I've had people message me like on Instagram and different places, like, I can ship CBD to you. And I'm like, I mean, they obviously don't pay attention to what I'm doing, but I'm like, well, what? How, you know? And they're like, oh yeah, and or I can ship marijuana to you. I'm like, oh my God, that is so illegal. But I mean, if you don't like pay attention, sometimes people will just act and do things that are totally unscrupulous and illegal, and they act like it's so normal you might not even catch on at first. So you know, always pay attention to the legalities in your local area.
Cool. Thanks, Heidi, so much for all the information. We're like right at the 8 o'clock mark here, so I just wanted to let everybody know that, you know, I thank you for all for being here. If you have any other questions, you can certainly reach out to Heidi. Her website is there. There's contact links there. She's got a blog with lots of information. She is in the Find Calm Here community, so if you are in there, you can connect with her in there as well and get together and sync up there with any questions about her products. So, and I wanted to say next week, we have Find Calm with Location Independence. That's going to be, again, 7 p.m. Eastern Time with our partner, Rachel, who does teaching. She teaches internationally, and she's actually back in Mexico. She was in the States for a while, but she's actually back in Mexico now. So we're going to have her on next week. But before that, we have a Find Calm Here meetup. And I was doing these a couple months ago. But I took a pause over the summer because everybody was kind of up in the air whether or not they're traveling. So I thought, well, I'll just wait. And so now we have an event on Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, just to bring your favorite fall beverage, whether it's a coffee or a latte or a pumpkin beer or whatever, or tea, and or flavored pumpkin water. Maybe that's the thing. I don't know. But bring whatever you'd like and come and chat, because I'd like to see all your lovely faces and to see what we can do to help support you in finishing out this awesome rest of 2020, which has been kind of crazy for everybody, and such an adventure that we've been doing these events since April, and it's just been I'm just so excited to like kick off 2021 and see how we can make it really amazing. So thank you all for being here. Heidi, is there anything else you wanted to just finish up with?
No, but thank you. This has been really fun, and now I really want to try like pumpkin spice water. But yeah, if anybody has any questions or wants to talk about you know, all things herbalism, they're always free to message me. If anybody is interested in our products, they can subscribe to our website or follow us on social media. And that way you'll always be in the know when we're like doing a flash sale or new products come out, that kind of thing. We don't send out a ton of emails. We're not going to spam you. But yeah, that's the best way to kind of stay in the loop.
Yeah, I did subscribe and I got the one about Find Calm, so I was excited about that.
Hey.
What's your Instagram?
It's 406 CBD.
Sweet.
Yep.
Cool.
Short and
I found you.
awesome.
Awesome sauce. All right. Thanks, everybody. Hopefully we'll see you at the Find Calm Here meetup on Saturday. And if you can't, then maybe we'll see you on another Find Calm Here event coming up. Have a great rest of your evening and talk to you soon. See you later.
Thanks, Deb.
Thank you. All right. See ya.